she's so shiny. Like, I get that she's supposed to be like metal and stuff, but damn. Welcome back to Extra Holiday Games. I'm Extra Holiday, and don't let their size fool you. These things are a bit spooky, actually. Oh right, I wanted to take another picnic because Ruby's making things hard on everyone, basically, and thus she has taken quite a bit of damage. All right, cool. Let's go fight this guy. Okay, don't remember what you lead with, but probably stronger than Yip, whatever it is. Let's do it. Ivan the office worker. Floatzel, oh, perfect. We have the perfect counter to that. Bullet seed. Whirlpool, that's fine. It's not gonna hurt too much. Especially since I'm pretty sure this kills. Yep. Yeah, definitely kills. 2 hits was all we needed. And that's all he had. Fire Fang. Aren't you a special attacker? Yeah. Yeah, we'll just forget about Fire Fang for now. Alright. So let's just get everything down here taken care of first. Ow. Awakening. What? Sword stance. God. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Alright. I was thinking. So, in a hardcore Nuzlocke, a lot of people have been adopting the use of rare candies to level Pokemon and to reduce the amount of grinding that needs to be done, because I mean, a lot of people stream their Nuzlockes and grinding typically isn't the most fun part to watch. So in the interest of content, they're like, oh, I'm just going to use rare candies instead, and they'll cheat rare candies into the game and what have you, which I'm not strictly opposed to, but I just had the thought of potentially a way to, I mean, if we're cheating already, potentially a way to, well, I guess this wouldn't really mitigate it, but maybe with some additional rules, perhaps. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is potentially a way to make grinding slightly more interesting is if the wild Pokemon were higher level. And you would have to, because there are, at least in some randomizers I know, there are options to change the levels of wild Pokemon and also trainer Pokemon. But if by chance you were to increase the level of wild Pokemon to like maybe 20% higher, then not only would they give more experience, which means that, you know, you wouldn't have to grind as long, but also grinding against wild Pokemon would be more risky, which could be more entertaining. The reason I said that might not work, though, is because you could, in theory at least, go back to an earlier area and grind. But I think maybe then, as a counter to that, you could implement a rule that you can only grind in certain areas, like say the last 3 routes or something, or maybe even just the last route before a gym badge, or I don't know. I mean, Nuzlockes are all about self-imposing rules anyway, so adding another one like that I don't think would be too big of a deal. Yeah, it's just a little thought that was in my head as to if you didn't want to use the rare candies. Because it's not always practical, I would say, to cheat rare candies into a game. Like if you're doing, say you were doing a Nuzlocke of Scarlet and Violet, I'm not even sure how you would do such a thing. We win these, right? Yeah, I don't even know. Actually, I mean, in that case, you also wouldn't be able to modify it so that the wild Pokemon's levels would be higher either, but I don't know. I mean, initially I was definitely opposed to the idea of just using rare candies instead of grinding, because I guess the reason for the same reason that I banned auto battling in this part of the Scoutlocke, in the Scarlet part of the Scoutlocke, just because there's no risk involved. But the difference is that with rare candies, you're saving time. It's not just that there's no risk, it's just that you don't need to spend hours battling Pokemon after Pokemon after Pokemon. So I don't think I've had enough battles yet here. 1 trainer. Okay, yeah, 7. We'll come back. But yeah, eventually I felt like, I get it. There's like, grinding isn't especially fun for most people, I think. I mean, maybe but it's definitely, I would say it's definitely not the most fun part to watch for a lot of people. Although honestly, I think if your just chatting skills are up to snuff, then you can absolutely just grind as long as you want in a game and still have the people watching your stream be entertained. But, not everyone can do that. Not everyone wants to do that. So I understand. I mean, the rare candy method, I already went down here, didn't I? No. The rare candy method does have drawbacks, because it means that you can't, or you don't get as many EVs. You can counter this a little bit by also hacking the EV items into the game, like, not talking like Power Bracer, or Macho Brace, but I mean like I call them what I call drugs, basically the HP up, the calcium, protein, all that. If you add those in, then you can use those in addition to rare candies to get your EVs, but EVs and levels. I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting problem. One that doesn't really, well, it certainly doesn't have an official solution, because I don't know. I don't think Nintendo or the Pokemon Company or Game Freak has ever acknowledged the Nuzlocke idea. I mean, maybe they've touched on challenge runs before. One thing that was interesting to me, I should go up this tower. One thing that was interesting to me that I just remembered recently is that there are mainline Pokemon games with difficulty settings. And I had forgotten about that, but in 5th gen, Black and White 2, you could play on easy mode or hard mode. But it's not as simple as you'd think it was, because to do so, you had to have already beaten the game or known someone who has beaten the game. And each game you would only unlock, beating the game would unlock either easy mode or hard mode, depending on which game you have, but not both. So yeah, and you ended up having to like trade modes with a friend, which is interesting. Yeah, Black and White 2 did have difficulty modes, and it's weird to think about. And I've actually recently ordered a copy of White 2, because that was the one that gives you hard mode. And so I was just kind of thinking, like, particularly when I was thinking of doing the Archipelago randomizer of Blue version, I was thinking of, well, what if I just made it higher level, you know? Rather than randomizing the Pokemon, what if I just made all the Pokemon a higher level? And that's essentially what the difficulties in 5th gen does, in 5th gen part 2, because it wasn't in part 1. We don't have a ground type, so I guess we'll stick with Sabrina. And we'll Bullet Seed. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to think about. That's, I think, the closest thing they've ever had to a challenge mode in a mainline Pokemon game. Discharge. Yeah, we're fine. And somehow I knew that para was coming. It's fine, though. Drain Punch should kill. Dazzling Gleam, why do you have that? Glad we didn't get full parried there. But why do you have Dazzling Gleam? I mean, it's good coverage, so I guess it makes sense, but Ampharos I don't think has too many options for TMs and coverage moves. This is the weird thing about electric types, is they don't tend to have a lot of options for coverage. I don't know why, but it just happens to be the case a lot of the times. Let's definitely type thank you. Let's definitely get rid of that para and heal you up. That was weird. That Staraptor just walked into me. Nope, not what I wanted. All right. Yeah, let's. Actually, you know, it's just gonna be easier to do it this way. There we go. Was gonna try to be all precise about it, but no. I think it's better if we just auto heal there. God, that's a nice feature. Especially, I think it's even most appropriate in this game. I'm gonna hold off on you for a sec. Most appropriate in this game, where you just get so many items if you're out exploring that you don't really need to be efficient with your healing items. I think it's a neat thing. It's a neat thing to be able to just press a button and heal someone all the way to full. Serena. I think we win this matchup. Depending on level. Even level. I think we're good. Teeter dance, that's annoying. I guess I'll probably switch after this then. Okay, cool. We have... I mean, technically we do have Ruby for this, but... she's, whether she listens to us... it's gonna be an interesting question. Although if that's Serena's most powerful move, I don't think we need to be too worried. Yeah, I think we're probably fine, even if it takes Ruby about 1,000 turns to do something. I always found it interesting that, I mean, maybe it did work this way in first gen, but I always found it interesting that Ash's Charizard didn't obey him. Because I know in modern games, as long as you are the original trainer of a Pokemon, and except for maybe this game in 8th gen, I mean, he caught Charmander as a Charmander, and it was, I believe, after he had beaten Brock. So most likely Charmander was in the range to where, I think he had even beaten Misty at that point too. I could be wrong. But he had at least beaten Brock. Which means Charmander was probably in the range to obey him when he caught it. And as long as you have that and your Pokemon is... Your Pokemon's original trainer is you, I guess technically it wasn't Ash's? I guess Ash technically wasn't Charmander's original trainer, but also... it's not like Ash traded to get Charmander. I don't know. Charmander chose to go along with Ash. So my point is, it doesn't make perfect sense that Charizard ended up not obeying. Even if Charizard was a particularly high level, the fact that it was caught at a lower level and Ash had sufficient badges when he caught it. In fact, I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Brock's badge gives you, makes Pokemon obey you up through level 15. Charmander probably, well, I guess technically it could be if it stopped itself from evolving, but given that its trainer thought it was weak, probably not the case. But what I'm saying is Charmander was probably at most level 15 at that point. So yeah, it definitely, he shouldn't have had any problems with it obeying him. That's what I'm saying. Also, technically, Bulbasaur would have also been someone else's Pokemon at some point. Also, Pikachu was supposed to be level 5 when he got him. So... the fact that Pikachu didn't obey either at first was interesting. Also, there's not really any precedent in the games for a Pokemon not wanting to stay in their Pokeball. Except for Yellow version, which was modeled after the anime, rather than the other way around. But then again, you know, it's not everything in the anime makes sense compared to the compared to the games. I mean, in the anime, Sabrina's Pokemon were weak to ghost type Pokemon. But not in the first gen games. Not in the games that part of the anime was based off of. It's fun. I bring that up a lot, I feel like, but the fact that... Oh, I forgot you were normal type, too. The fact that Psychic types were not weak to Ghost types in Gen 1, even though, like, clearly, according to the anime, they were supposed to be. Also, I'm pretty sure that somewhere around there, Ash actually technically died in one of those episodes. Like, I think when he was catching his Haunter, his spirit was separated from his body at some point. Yeah, that doesn't happen in the games. But hey, you know what? Maybe it'll happen next time. Because, as for this episode, that's a wrap. That's a cute smile.